Hey guys, welcome to Dave's Nano Tanks. We'll do our February update on all the tanks. And the reason the camera's pointed to the floor is we had a leak. Yes, perfect way to wake up one morning, see water running, and see your main display blowing bubbles. So what happened? I checked all the tanks. The frag tank water was pouring over the top of the frag tank. That's right, pouring right over the top. So I have this little bulkhead strainer because I don't really have an overflow in this box. I never thought I needed one. So I have these little press in slip strainers. And apparently, a snail is strong enough or the right shape to wedge himself under it and knock it off. And then he's also the perfect size to go inside of that and restrict enough flow that there's more water coming in than it's going out. And yeah, you don't have to be a plumber to know that's not a good thing. So, yes, and it absolutely screwed up my salinity in the system. Not by a lot because thank God I only have 5 gallon buckets for an ATO. So I usually have one mixed up, ready to go with Kalkwasser and the one I'm using. So, 100-gallon mixed reef tank, I guess we could call it. Try to be SPS dominant, but I do still have some LPS in there and even some softies. Not much has happened there, but I am contemplating changing my two-part. So we'll get to that in a minute. I never show my A-cans. I've always had A-cans in this tank, and I used to keep them down to one side in low light, and they did all right, but now I got them right here in front of the display, so I thought I'd show you guys my little A-can island. So I do like them. The anemone is going to be short-lived in this tank. As soon as I get another tank set up for the anemones, the anemones and the clowns are going to be moving out. Because I really like all my sticks, and anemone can wreak havoc in there. As you can see, I got my green slimer. Is very leggy but growing in leaps and bounds. I may have to start fragging that guy up. There's my Garf Bonsai, who has the little crab living in there. I can never get a good shot of him. Keep your eye on Instagram, because if I ever get a good shot of him, that's where it'll probably be. So I like that guy. And Blasto. I got like this big Blasto and like a micro Blasto. And blue clove polyps galore. They're just popping up all over this tank. As you can see, they just sweeping up the back there. That's my Sunset Millie from Billy Pipes. My Sunset Billy. Billy's Millie. And a couple of these acros that just are growing. Not much color to them. So what I'm thinking of doing, you know me guys, I use Fritz salt, Fritz two-part. I'm a big believer in it. But maybe we could mix it up a little bit. Let's see what happens. You know, it is a hobby. Maybe I could get better color. Maybe I could get better growth. So I'm going to try B Ionic from ESV. I have seen a lot of tanks that I really like, and that's what they're using. It might not just be the two-part, but we'll mix it up a little bit. The cost isn't that much different in my opinion, and it's only two-part. I will still continue to use Fritz salt because I have so much of it. you know. So it'll be a while before I switch up my salt. So just popping around. Everything's doing well, but I just don't have that growth. But I am growing faces. I mean, who else has faces in their reef tank, right? So that's pretty much that. I mean, this tank always does well, knock on wood, I guess. And then the Softy Tank. And you see I have that in quotations because this has become the everything I don't want in a 100-gallon tank. I mean, there's SPS in here, there's LPS, there's chalice, there's, you know, a whole bunch of stuff, but mainly it's soft corals. And this tank dialed in, does its own thing. It's lit by two T5 bulbs and an actinic blue LED strip. So as you can see, the bubble tips are commingling with some of the corals, and although the corals aren't happy about it, they're not dying either. Like that's a little trumpet coral tucked in there. He could be doing better. And those are purple clove polyps that are just exploding in this tank. And there's the big pink cult coral, kind of the centerpiece for the tank. That thing's doing great. I haven't snipped it up yet, but I plan on snipping a few pieces off of it. And look, fishy. Whoop. Meow. There's my rock nem. Fishy, how many you got now? 16? 20? Yeah, I only got one. And there's a bunch of stylo on the frag rack and a bunch of ORA green bird's nest frags on the frag rack. And there's what's left of the Hollywood Stunner, and there's a few frags in the frag tank as well. And then we got to give Mr. Pipefish a little camera time because he's the coolest fish. He was in a bad spot, and when I say bad spot, I mean a place where he didn't clean the glass good enough to get a good look at him. But he's fat and happy, so he's got to be part of the update too. I do like that fish. I'm glad he's happy in there. So yeah, the Softy Tank is just kind of a holding tank at this point. I have talked about doing another tank in the future. This one's kind of in the way of where I want to do that one. And the Frag Tank. It's another kind of holding place for me. There are colonies in there of bird's nest. And there are little frags that are special to me, but nothing too exciting going on in there. Like I have some of that long polyp green star polyp, long tentacle. So I have some of that growing out in there. I have some of my blue clove polyps growing out in there. Because a few people local want those things. And I got a bunch of stuff even under the rack growing out. But as you can see, got two colonies over there. These hammers were kind of all too close to the hammer in the main display. And of course, the bubble tips. It's still in jail. The Nano. We've talked about the Nano on the live stream. And this is what it used to look like. But we had a little heater malfunction. And this is what it looks like now. It's kind of depressing. I lost a few items. Some things had no problem bouncing back. Some things are gone. I saw the tank get up to 87 degrees. Look at those beautiful pallies. I had two color pallies in there. They were a super light color. You know, they lost a lot of their color. My favorite mushrooms on that rock turned into tiny little pieces of mushroom. And look at that BTA. I lost one, and the other one's almost white and green. It does appear a little more pink, but it sure isn't the color it's supposed to be. And this piece of Tonga was covered in red mushrooms, and to the point where you couldn't see the rock. Big green mushrooms, they're all fine. You know, I think they're called elephant ear mushrooms. Yeah, they're huge, covering the whole rock. They didn't miss a beat. A couple things didn't miss the beat. Pulsing xenia, they didn't like the heat. They're history. They're gone. Also had a bubble coral. Oh, the zoanthids. Zoanthids looked great through the whole thing, so they can obviously handle some temperature. Zoanthids can have pests, but if they're pest free, they're pretty hardy. Green star polyps didn't open for about a week. They're just starting to come back around. That big purple mushroom and that trumpet coral, they didn't miss a beat either. They were actually out feeding while other things were dissolving. And yeah, that bubble coral never had an issue. So like I said, some things can handle the heat, some things can't. But I reached out to Aqueon. It was one of those set it and forget it's, and they have talked to me and said they will replace it. So that's it for this month. I'll see you guys next month. Thanks for watching.